Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon.
We're very happy to have you on board.
Thank you.
Now, John, could you please tell us what is the vision for GTB and what do you see as our biggest challenges to reaching it?
Well, GTB, I genuinely think, and I don't say this about all the divisions, I mean, it really is the core of the bank. It was the reason the bank was originally founded. And I do think that the way that GTB sits at the absolute center of what we do, helping our clients operate internationally. So I think it's not just the German clients, it's not even just the Western European clients, but we've clearly a huge strength in Germany. But that international financing and cash management, I think, is absolutely fundamental to what we do. The challenges to GTB, I think, are twofold. First, I would say they are technology related, and banks these days are, because we deal in electrons, let's face it, they're a sort of an applied technology company. And I think that banks have not served themselves as well as they might have done as a sector, because I don't think the people who ran banks focused enough in the past decade or so on technology. And there's been a bit of a scramble in the current generation of bank leaders to catch up. And I do think that not GTB alone by any means within the bank, but GTB particularly, in all three of its main business lines, should really focus on intelligent investment in technology to secure our market positions at the moment and help us develop them. So there's a bit of defensive and a bit of business development goes with that. I think the other challenge we face is from the regulatory environment, and I think it relates not so much to prudential regulation, capital and liquidity, because GTB is not a big user of capital and it's a provider of liquidity by and large. I think it's more from a compliance perspective, making sure that when we do travel into the farthest corners of the world with our clients, that we make sure that when we do that, we're operating in a safe environment from a compliance perspective. And that's a challenge for all banks, and we are particularly extensive in our network, and we just need to make sure that we are safe in that respect.
So we'll be coming back on the regulatory topic, but for now, I would like to move forward with the GTB financial performance questions. With an increased concentration on cost reduction and digitalization, what is the impact on people and talent retention?
Well, the focus that the management board has on cost reduction is really to take out inefficiencies. It's not focused on removing people for the sake of removing people. The people generally add to the bank. So the principal target is really to make what we do more effective. So it's an effectiveness drive rather than a cost reduction drive. From the financial performance of GTB, the big question, I think, is interest rates. GTB will perform much better with a higher level of interest rates, with a yield curve that is nicely sloping. And at the moment, all cash managers are struggling with essentially zero interest rates. So the big turnaround in the performance of the division, I think, will be consequent upon an improvement in interest rates. So it's less of a cost reduction or investment in systems, it's more revenues.
Regarding the GTB regulatory framework, what lessons have we learned from the regulatory probes and all the fines we have paid?
Well, I think the lesson we've learned is that we haven't built a control environment for the bank following a period of very successful growth. We haven't built controls that meet our own standards. And we've too frequently allowed ourselves to manage the business in a manner which as I say, just doesn't meet the standards that we want to obtain for the business. So I think the work that we're going to have to face in the coming years is that we consolidate a little bit. We've gone through this growth phase across the bank as a whole. It hasn't specifically been in GTB, but I think with the increased focus on banks, the increased focus particularly in the compliance and anti-fraud area, we're going to have to continue to invest there to improve our systems and probably increase the number of people controlling the business.
So John, the second part of this town hall right after this interview will be our first ever game show, which we called the GTB Third Degree. For 300 points, the pursuit of a common purpose and the daily striving of working together for the greater good of the organization plays a vital role in the health and agility of the well-functioning company. Do you feel that this sense of global partnership is present in Deutsche Bank today?
Not enough. I don't. I still think the bank has a lot of work to do to integrate its businesses better and to operate across time zones more effectively. I think the way that the bank has been built up, despite the fact it's been hugely successful, is that we've built up discrete businesses under a common Deutsche Bank brand. And I think it's incumbent on the current management to break down some of those business barriers and to introduce, possibly through the client centricity endeavors, more cooperation and more partnership throughout the group. And we can use technology to do that, and we can actually use incentives within the company to promote that. And so I think once we plan to make all sorts of changes to the incentive system within Deutsche Bank, we hope that the positive consequence that comes out of that is much more cooperation within the company.
So John, shall we answer the last question for 100 points on client centricity?
I think we should.
Let's do it. The importance of putting the client at the heart of everything we do is clear. But as client behaviors and expectations evolve, how do we ensure we don't disappoint?
Okay, I think I'm going to surprise you here. I don't think we should put the client at the heart of everything we do.
So what should be at the heart of everything we do?
I think we should always act in the interests of the bank. And that very often means acting in the interests of our clients. But I think there's an important balance to be struck between acting in the interests of our clients and balancing the interests of the bank. And I am very adamant that whenever we do something for a client, we think in a risk management sense about whether that's also the right thing for the bank. And that extends to the choice of client in the first place. So I've worked with clients in the past. I am very much a proponent of client banking. It's a change the bank still needs to make. I think we're still too product driven. We're still too driven by what we manufacture. And there's a long journey towards becoming fully client-centric. But even when we get there, we should always, always act in the interests of the bank, because we need to build not just a successful bank, but one that is safe and secure and secures the future of the company for the next generation.